Hey guys, today I want to do a bit of hands-on work with Kubernetes. I have been basically learning, or should I say refreshing what I know about Kubernetes, taking this Udemy course from Mambashi, specifically Code Cloud. And I'm at the point where I'm supposed to kind of like deploy a cluster. So with that, um, my idea right now is that I'm going to use QEMU to create a virtual machine, and then once the virtual machine is created, start with the standing up a Kubernetes cluster from scratch. I'm going to start small, uh, just because I want to keep it small, something that's like maintainable to do, something that's actually doable, instead of trying to be overly ambitious and not really accomplishing anything. Uh, so with that, I did use Cloud, Claude, and what I used Claude for was to essentially help guide me in using QEMU, uh, to kind of like basically take a look at what I have installed right now and make sure it's working and create the virtual machine. Because my focus isn't necessarily to learn in depth QEMU, um, which is nothing bad with it, but more so to just focus on the Kubernetes aspects. So if I can leverage Cloud AI to just help me, limit the scope amount of work and it can provide me a little bit of helper in that area, then I'm going to do that. So with that, what I'm sharing on the screen is my terminal on the right, and on the left, the document, the markdown document that was uh, created for me. I use Pandoc to basically create a HTML file and render it with some CSS that I found. So here's basically the purpose of the document, right? Stand up a headless Ubuntu VM on my local host, which happens to be Ubuntu 2404 using QEMU. Now I do have QEMU set up on my cluster, but I set it up last year and I don't know what the state of it is. So I asked basically Claude to like, yeah, just tell me help me figure out what the state of QEMU is. So I'm gonna go through the steps here, walk through them, and then see where things land. May have to create multiple videos. Might have to restart my computer. I don't know. We'll find out. So let's go reading through this to see what Claude says I should do. So it says here verify CPU virtualization. I think this is already 24. That's the number of CPU. The cores, is that what it's checking for? Host CPU must support hardware virtualization. If the output is 0, virtualization is enabled in the BIOS. I've already done that. Verify or install QVM kernel module. Let's check that. So AMD, you see Intel, mine is not Intel, it's an AMD processor. So yeah, that's there, along with the base KVM module, which is also there. The ones that are not loaded, load them manually. I don't need to do this because they're already loaded. So I don't need to do that. And then install, reinstall QEMU and supporting packages. Before I go installing, let's see if um, anything is installed. T package, L, and then let's grab QEMU and QEMU divert. Bridge. Let's try with these two first. See what that shows. Okay. Yeah, I definitely have QEMU, yeah, QEMU systems there. QEMU utils is probably right there, and a few other things. I'm gonna do it anyways, just to make sure. Right, so I don't need to do anything. Everything says to be installed. Now let's verify my user permissions. So my user is called Boring PC. Do have KVM and is Libert's there as well. Okay, so they're both there. Smoke test. Okay, so this should print KVM or. All right, so let's try this. It did. So run a quick validation to confirm that QEMU can access KVM acceleration. If you see KVM in the output stack is functional and ready for QVM VM creation, as a deeper check, directly verify access to that. All right, so yeah, I can. Yeah. All right, so now let's go with the virtual machine creation. See, for a single node setup, QEMU users mode networking slurp is the path of least resistance, NAT-based outbound internet traffic from VM. Okay, and then port porting from the host to specific VM. Okay, and no bridge interface. Okay. The trade-off is the user mode networking does not support VM to VM communication, which we're not doing for this first step. We're keeping it simple. It's one node, which is why steps 2 and 3 multi-node will switch to bridge networking. I have some other kind of homework assignments where I'll do like one node first, then a 2-node and a 3-node multi-node. This is to kind of not only test like the control plane side, but like a kind of like a worker node, and then etcd and quorum. So let's keep going. So the trade, yeah, I don't care about that. And then port forwarding, no QEMU user mode networking does not support forwarding port ranges. The single flag. This script follows a set of representative node ports. If you need a specific node port during testing, add it to the forwarding flags. Okay. So the reason why I'm looking for this is because yes, I know that I can SSH into the virtual machine and then kind of like play around with it then, but I kind of want to also like have the virtual machine kind of self-contained as a black box and then be able to ultimately run kubectl commands against it. So like I'll have kubectl outside of the virtual machine on the host, and then I'll send like deploy this pod or create this service, and so on and so forth, and test it that way as well. Not just within the actual node itself. All right, so let's keep going. No, QEMU user mode networking does not support porting. Yeah, we already said that. The script creates the following layout under a configurable base directory. So CKA lab, images, model, okay. Save, what does this do? Download cloud images shared across virtual machines. Model, node 1 per node directory. So the cloud image, the seed ISO, and then the cloud-init metadata to save the following as a script, create node.sh. But it's also telling me to, is it asking me to create these directories? Let's see. So let's see what the script does before we go blindly trying to use it. Let's copy it first. And actually, I actually do have this README here. So I think Yeah. Let me, in the meantime, ask my AI assistant if I'm supposed to be creating these directories. I mean, I can create them. That's not a big deal. I just want to know what assumptions that this cloud did. Oh, the script does create them. So then let's copy the script. And you know what? It's easier like this. And we'll call this setup.sh. So set is here's the script. Drop a frame, keep dropping a frame. Oh, okay, so this is fairly lengthy script that ends here. So let's yank that, paste it over here, and then let's close this file because we don't need it anymore. Right, so it's called create node.sh. Let's rename it. Open it. All right. I want to know. Okay, so it does some pre-flight checks, which we already did. So it ran, checks to see if this is found. Yep, checks to see if the binary exists in the path. Yeah, several of those. Okay. Then once all the pre-flights check passed, it will create the image directory and the node dir, which are set to. So current. Oh, okay. So it's setting it to here, and I don't want that. I don't want to put it in my home directory. I just want to do it here locally in this. It's currently in this. Currently where I'm at in my. I don't want this going in home. All right. So let's go back down. So it's going to create the image directory, node directory. Then it's going to check to see if it's already been downloaded, if the image has been downloaded. If not, it's going to use wget to download it. And the image URL is this one. Let's go confirm what this is going to look like. And just as a means to quickly test this, we're just going to run it. That's right. Said this shit chmod wrong. And I should have just. All right, so it's going to try and download this image here. Let's see what this is before it goes down. I just want to confirm that cloud images. It's from Ubuntu.com, releases 2404, and it's getting the server cloud image. So let's just look at that, see if it. So the link works. I'm just going to cancel this for the time being. All right, let's go back to that, and let's remove the. I'm going to keep the set -x so that we know what it's doing when we run it. And then we're going to go to the wget command that we saw earlier. All right, so it downloads the image to this path. What is this path image file? Image path will be in image dir. Where's image dir? Image dir be base dir /images. Okay. So in my current CK, and so it's going to be in CKA lab /images /Ubuntu, and then that. So that's where that goes. And then it's going to create the virtual machine disk first. Warning disk, QCal, it's going to check to see if the QCal2 image disk exists first for that given node. Then if it does exist, it will ask you to confirm whether or not you want to overwrite it. I guess I could probably rewrite this to say that if it doesn't exist, create it. But whatever, it doesn't. I mean, that's what this does already. There's just no else condition. All right, so creates the QCal, and then so the VM disk was created. Then what does it do? Creates the init config, cloud-init config. It creates the metadata first, which is composed of instance ID and the local host name, which is node 1. That's what we're calling it, I believe. And it creates the user data, and it gives it a TLD of CKA dot. Why does it give it a TLD of CKA local? Then it creates a VM user, gives it sudo privileges without a password. And what is the VM password? Let's find out. Kubeadmin. Okay. And the user's cube. Okay. That's fine. We're just testing. This isn't production. It doesn't add an SSH key. It'd be great if it did. We can figure that out later. Enable password-based SSH for initial access before keys are set up. Okay. Disable cloud-init network config to avoid conflicts. User mode networking handles DHCP automatically. Okay, and then it installs some packages. Curl, GNU. I always like to add Vim. I'm gonna add Vim. Then it creates some kernel modules and sysdl settings required. So it enables IPv4 forwarding, IP forwarding, and something with, let me find out what these are. I'm guessing it's part of the prerequisites of standing up Kubernetes. Let's just do a quick Google search. Googly. What does do? Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. Okay, because of the Q proxy. Calling a car for Kubernetes CNI networking, but often disable the virtual machine environments to avoid blocking. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, and then, so this is for IPv4 and this is for IPv6. All right. Then it's load some kernel modules, overlay, brnet filter, applies the changes, disables the swap, removes, is it removing the swap from the FS tab? No, it's commenting it out is what it's doing. So if it finds swap, it adds a comment to the beginning of the line. So it comments this out. And then once all that's done, it does a reboot of the node. I'm assuming that's what that does. Okay. So once it, that was the user data file, if I'm not mistaken, right? So is that what this is? Generating cloud-init configuration. No, it's the, yeah, it is. User data file. It creates that file, which we just looked at, and then it, once it's written, then it goes and does this build cloud-init ISO, which I believe what it does is it adds these two files into this seed ISO file. Interesting. What? How does it know? About the Ubuntu? Let me ask. Copy. Portion of the code need to have the Ubuntu cloud image as input. No, the gen ISO command and the Ubuntu cloud image are two completely separate things serving different roles. Can call build a tiny, oh, because it creates a data only ISO. Just your user data and metadata files labeled CI data. Has nothing to do with the OS itself. When the VM boots, the cloud-init service backed into image scans for an attached volume with the CID data, reads the configuration files from it and applies them. Sets okay. All right. So when we okay, that's probably on another step down below. So after we've generated the data ISO. Then it creates, so this is the script to essentially create the virtual machine. All right, so let's look at what this does. So basically it gets the current working directory, I think. And then the node name, which is above node 01, host, my memory, and virtual CPUs. Then it passes in the QCal file that we downloaded earlier. It also passes in the seed.iso file, which is the data file. Then it sets up the networking with all of the forwarding of ports. And it creates a PID file and some other good stuff there. All right, so that creates the script. So that generates the script. And this generates the stop script. This is just stopping the node in the virtual machine. Let's see what this does. So gets the directory where we want to put it, the PID file, and then it sending sigterm to the PID. I'm not sure if I want to use this. This doesn't look good. I want to kill a process because of that. Why can't I use QEMU to stop it? It doesn't look, I don't know. I'm not too happy with that script. I'll just leave it there for now. The summary. Okay, so and then it spits out how to use everything. Okay. All right. That makes sense. All right, let's clear this out and then let's try it out. I think it's create. All right. Before I do that, let me move some stuff. You know, let's just leave it as this. All right, so create. Download the image. Excuse me. %71%. $97, $98. All right, so it is having problems. What are the problems? I think the wget command might be missing the G. Maybe I may have accidentally clobbered that. Let's look. Image URL. So that it gets downloaded here, but it is expecting it to be here. Is that what's happening? Let's see. Yeah, you can even see the check right here. Yeah, of course. Where did it get created? All right, so it got put in images. Why did the check? I wonder if this was a hallucination from Cloud, or either way, we can fix that. So it's in images there. I wonder why it's expecting it to be here when it's downloaded over here. Create a symlink, then it'd be in both places. Let's try that. So it wants it here, but then it's node1.qcal2. Let's ask. Let's ask Claude and then say like, hey, are you expecting running script were you expecting the downloaded image to be in the, where did it go to originally? So it got sent to CK lab / images. So CK lab / images, or in each of the CK, what the heck, lab nodes and wondering if that was a bug on. Yeah, that's not the problem. No. Is that? Maybe I'm misinterpreting it. So it says it couldn't open. Okay. All right, so I misinterpreted the output. And that is true. It doesn't exist. Yeah, because it should be that. That's the issue. It's an incorrect path. And I think it did. Okay. Let's open up the script. I know where the problem is. So it checks to see if the QCal exists here, and which we talked about earlier. But the problem is the image file path. What's it set to? See, because it checks it here, right? Image file. Yeah, here. CKA lab images, which is correct. But then, all right, so let's try something. And then cloud says to do this. Let's see what this returns. And does this exist? Yes, that does work. All right, so why did I have to do that? Let's just go back down here, and it's saying to change this here. I think it said like wrap it in this, and then yeah, that's what it did. All right, so that's right. Is that the only thing that needed to be done? Yeah. All right, let's try this again. Oh, okay. It finished. It actually did everything it needed to do. Let me do two things. First thing we'll do is I'm actually going to rerun this again. I'm going to put this in a log. So output.log, the txt. Cool. That's right, because the QCal already exists. So let me delete this. And yeah. All right. So let's try that one more time. Yeah, let's try that one more time. This time to just redirect std error std out, and that didn't work. Why? Is it because of the tracing? Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. It's probably because of the set I think it's the set OUO or something like that, pipeline fail, the top. But it did what it needed to do. So preflights check, get down the image already. We have the QCal created the init files, created the start stop script, created the seed ISO, and it did this. Okay, good. So let's clear this out. Right, so let's just to start the VM do this. But before I do that, I want to see what got rendered. Okay. Importance to this. What is scriptdir? Scriptdir is the current working directory. Yeah, I think that's what that is. And this is already this one already has execute permissions. Let's go ahead and clear this up and then run it. I hope it runs in a detached mode because I don't want to be attached to it. Okay, so Ubuntu's already up. Now it's doing cloud-init stuff. All right, so I need to detach from it. I think it's no, that wasn't it. Is that not it? I detach from it. This doesn't sound right to me. Okay, so then why didn't we start with that? Okay. How can we monitor what the VM is doing during stand-up process? Bootstrap process is what it's called. Right. what all changes need to be done to the startup script. There's two, the demonize and then this output. I think it was Control AX. Yeah. I should have just given it a copy of the start script. I don't need to do that. I'll just modify it. Just need to get the right syntax. So I need to do this. And the other thing I need to do is this. All right, so I'm not gonna touch this. It just needed those two changes, if I'm not mistaken. I already made the real path change. All right, now the real question is the node still running? No, there was a stop script, wasn't there? Even though I don't like it, let's try it. Okay, so it's not running. All right, so let's try it again. Huh. Unbound variable. Sure, let's fix that. So node name would be node 1. That's what it would be. All right, let's try this again. No graphic cannot be used with daemon. Still hasn't. Let's remove it and just keep going. See what happens. Okay. Well, that's nice. What was the, I think it was cube is the user, and then vim create nodes. I think the user was like cube and then a password cube admin. All right, let's try that. So cube admin. All right, I'm in. I have that. Do I have SSH working? Let's see. System CTL status SSH. SSHD is what I want. I think that's what I want. Right? It says it's loaded, but it's disabled. Wait, what? I hate that. Can I fix the view? Zoom to fit? No. Best fit? No. Zoom out. Zoom in. Is there a scale? Wonder if there's probably an option to set the resolution. Yeah. For the time being, I want to check to see if I can SSH to it. So what's the IP? That's the internal IP, which is 10.0.215 is the internal IP. I think the output gave me an example. Okay, so let's try this. So it's on localhost. Yes. Cube and then cube admin. Yay, that works. Okay, so if that works, then I can do a SSH copy to that user. I need to pass in the identifier, don't I? Oh, too many arguments. Expecting target. So it's, how do I specify the port? Host name. Wait, what? History. Okay, I need to pass in the identity file. What do I have? Let's just do this one. Let's do that. Why did that work? Does the ordering matter? Wonder if the order matters. Let's be yeah. You had it. All right. So now, if I do this, okay, that Great. I could add it to my SSH config. Let me do that. No one. This is going to be localhost. Like one. I need to specify the port. User is going to be Q, and the identity feed file. I wonder if it's just like port 222. Let's try that. SSH. No one. Yeah. All right. So that's good. You don't have to play around with any of that stuff. All right. So I think I've completed at least the first step in creating the virtual machine, and then obviously making sure QEMU is working. I can SSH to it. Now I need to find the documentation on how to stand up Kubernetes. So yeah, I can SSH. We have that here. Okay, so we've done that. To detach, it's even there. It was there, documented already. Should have read it. Start the VM in the background with no hop. SSH into the VM. Default credentials. Stop. What cloud-init pre-configures. Verifying the VM is ready. So check the host name. It's node 1, so that's good. Let's do this way. So we're able to SSH and then I need to figure out if these kernel modules were set, kernel parameters actually. So I think that's in cd etc sysctl. Yeah, and then the K8. Yeah. Is there like a list? Display all variables. And then let's grab for net. Net dot IPv4. IP underscore forward. All right, so IP forward is set. I mean, there's a list there. And that's the one we checked, and then this one. That one's set too. Good. Now we're just going to check the packages. So SOCAT, contract, and IP set. Is netstat installed? Or net tools, I think is what they call it. If not, I'll add it to the Let's see. It is. Okay, so I think I have completed my first step in my assignment, at least my self-imposed assignment, to kind of stand up a virtual machine that I can then build upon a single node Kubernetes cluster. So I need to go find the steps, instructions to do that. And in the next one, I'll be covering how to uh, stand up Kubernetes from scratch on a single virtual machine uh, that I just essentially stood up. So, all right. Thanks for everything. Catch you folks later. Take it. Bye.